one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. And can we have the new lady, Mackenzie?
I already told her to start with trustee Stout, and they loved it.
He's giving you the glare. All right, trustee Stout.
Here.
Trustee Rhodey.
Here.
Trustee Belt. Here. Trustee Pater. Here. Trustee Kreiser. Here. Trustee Grabowski.
Here.
And President Knutson.
Here. Item 2 is public hearing, which we have none. Item 3 is the approval of the regular village board meeting dated May 5th, 2026. I hope everyone's had a chance to go through it. Are there any questions, comments, or corrections as to the way they are presented this evening? If not, I'll look for a motion to approve as presented then.
Motion to approve as presented. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion, minutes are hereby adopted. Item 4, citizen comments. This is an opportunity for citizens to share their opinions with board members on any topic they choose. However, due to Wisconsin open meeting laws, the board is not able to answer questions or respond to your comments. All comments should be directed to the board. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker, with it being indicated by an audible alarm. When the alarm sounds, speakers are asked to conclude their comments. Speakers are asked to please use the podium and state their name and address. Is there anyone that would like to make a comment at this time? No one? Okay, then we're gonna go to the ordinances, which we have none. Then we have this resolution. Review, discussion, and possible action on resolution number 2026-05, a resolution recognizing village clerk Jenna Peters. Pardon. Didn't mean to say to us, Peter. Matt, would you like to read the resolution, please?
I would love to, President Knutson. Resolution number 2026-05, a resolution recognizing the service of Jenna Peter to the village of Pewaukee. Whereas Jenna Peter began her employment with the village in 2022 as the deputy clerk treasurer, and whereas Jenna Peter expanded her service to the village when she became the village clerk in 2024, which included countless hours attending village meetings and the scrupulous maintenance of official village records. And whereas Jenna Peter performed a function critical to the people of the community, having worked 9 different elections during her time with the village. And whereas Jenna Peter accomplished things that improved the function and services of the village, including the creation of a cremain section in the cemetery, the implementation of village social media and a new website. And whereas Jenna Peter showed great teamwork and leadership in the office, guiding the new deputy clerk through their duties, taking ownership of additional tasks during a transition to a new administrator, and supporting other new employees as they developed into their roles with the village. And whereas Jenna Peter, in performing those different roles, was a great asset to the community, serving the residents, village staff, and village board. Therefore, be it hereby resolved by the village board of the village of Pewaukee, Waukesha County, Wisconsin, that it hereby extends its heartfelt appreciation for the dedication given to the village of Pewaukee by Jenna Peter while serving as deputy clerk treasurer, deputy clerk, and village clerk. Dated this 19th day of May, 2026. I have to sign it.
You have to sign it.
Yes.
Well, you can hand it to her for a photo op.
All right.
So,
Go to the,
you at least get a photo op.
Yes.
Okay, we'll do that at least. This, or should we open it?
You gotta open it. You gotta show it.
That's just the back.
Yeah. No, now show the camera. There you go. There you go. Yep.
Don't zoom in on it, that makes that.
All right.
Okay, I'll let you sign it.
Would you like to say something?
I won't say a lot because there's a lot on there, so I want to make sure it doesn't go too crazy over and for Mackenzie's first time. I just want to say thanks. I know that it wasn't a super easy decision choosing someone who you knew was going to leave, you know, eventually because of what I have going on with my husband being in the military. So I just want to say thank you for giving me a chance and dealing with my craziness and all the things that come with it. But I just want to say thanks for taking a chance on me and letting me kind of have a career, because it's a little difficult too when you're a military spouse. So I kind of got to do a whole lot of things. I had never done an election before this, so that was interesting and fun. But it ended up being a really fun thing. And I love all my coworkers, and I'm going to miss them a lot. And that's where I'm going to stop because I don't want to cry because I love them.
Well, we'll miss you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jenna. Place here. Okay, next thing on the agenda is old business, which we have none.
Did the board approve the resolution?
Oh, we got to do that.
I was like, don't we vote on this?
What if we don't?
Sign it if it's not approved.
What if we don't approve it?
I was so excited about the reading of it. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve a resolution recognizing Village Clerk Jenna Peter.
Second, Grabowski.
Do we have a motion and a second? Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution number 2026-05, a resolution recognizing Village Clerk Jenna Peter is hereby adopted. Now I'll go to old business, which there aren't any.
By the way, are you actually gonna stick around through the whole meeting when you don't have to be here?
When it's closed session.
Wow, okay, all right.
Good for you.
New business, item 8, review, discussion, and possible action on report of stakeholder meetings regarding the designed outdoor refreshment area and board direction to draft an ordinance. Matt, you want to start us out here?
Yes, thank you, President Knudsen. At its April 21st meeting, the village board directed staff to explore the concepts of a designated outdoor refreshment area. So staff met with trustees Grabowski and Rhodey to create a proposed framework for DORA. The group settled on the features that are written in the memo, and a couple of highlights are that it would apply to 2026 only as a trial run to see how it works. And it would only apply to 3 weekends in 2026 and avoid some downtown events like the beach party and waterfront Wednesdays. The 3 weekends that were identified were the July 3rd and 4th weekend, where it is intended or envisioned that the street would be closed off. And this outdoor designated area would include the sidewalks and the streets within the closed area, and include the grassy part of Lakefront Park north of the dam. It would exclude the beach. This designated area would only allow carry-ins of soft drinks. The second identified weekend or proposed weekend was Saturday, August 15th for the Antique Boat Show, which is part of the 150th celebration of the village. Again, it was envisioned that the street would be closed off and that this designated area would include the sidewalks and street within the closed area and the grassy part of Lakefront Park, north of the dam. And again, it would allow soft drink carry-ins. The final weekend identified was Labor Day weekend, or September 5th through 7th. And this is the one that's different from the previous two because there is no event that this is tied to. This is just a holiday weekend. So the street would remain open to traffic. The designated area would include the sidewalks stretching from Brewfinity down to Daily Dose and turning the corner to Park Avenue Pizza. And it would include the grassy part of Lakefront Park north of the dam. Again, it is envisioned to only allow carry-ins of soft drinks, but without an event downtown, there wouldn't be a police presence at Labor Day weekend, or a dedicated police presence. The group met with downtown businesses on May 6th to get their feedback to this framework. In essence, they liked the idea. They agreed with the concept to start slow. And their primary question was what the stance of the police department was on this idea. This group met with police and parks on May 13th. The police had recommendations of how they would implement it. For the two where there are designated events, they have a dedicated presence at those events. So their recommendation is to be reactive rather than proactive, so to respond to complaints or issues as they arose, and they would recommend against a checkpoint entering the designated area where they would be inspecting coolers. The Parks Department expressed a number of concerns, including public education and turning the DORA on and off, so that the public would understand when it applies and when it didn't. Safety issues crossing West Wisconsin, if you're now involving alcohol. About the beach becoming the destination point, people consuming beverages when it is not part of the designated area. Potential accumulation of garbage. And then the potential of expanding it in the future, that it might impact nonprofit events downtown. The trustees and I told both groups that if it is the will of the board, that the board would receive an update tonight, which is this agenda item, and that if it is the will of the board, that they would direct staff to compose an ordinance with the hopes that it would be ready for review as soon as the June 2 meeting. So I don't know if trustees Rhodey or Grabowski have details they want to add to that. Otherwise, that's my introduction of the topic.
I think the key thing to remember is we're looking at 2026. We're approaching this as a test. Again, we want to walk before we run. We'll learn what we can from the variable effects that we have here. Obviously, we've got a high crush weekend as far as crowds on July 3rd and 4th. We probably got a middle of the road as far as crowd size in August. And then we have no planned events on Labor Day weekend and slightly expanded down to Park Avenue Pizza. So there's learnings that we can get from all three of those and help us understand what, if anything, we want to implement going into 2027.
Yeah, so the toughest thing was, to put the mental guardrails on that discussion should only be focused on 2026, and not to start getting into minutia of details of possible expansion in the future or what have you, because literally everything going forward will be dependent on the feedback that we get from stakeholders and the community after whatever is envisioned for this year, as we recap immediately after the summer or the third one wraps up. So it's not to say that this is the first step of 3 steps. It's not the the walk before we run or anything like that. This is to get feedback so we can make educated decision going forward. So all discussion and all focus should just be on 2026, and then we worry about the future in the future.
It was interesting in the meetings that we had with the business owners. They were right away coming up with ideas what we should do as far as having plastic cups when people leave their businesses. They realize that any successful run of this type of program is going to be dependent on their responsibilities also with their customers. So the meeting with the business owners was a really good meeting. It was very constructive, very positive.
What was the defining decision that you guys are proposing to exclude the beach? Why did that come to fruition?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Why was the beach excluded in this proposal or the conversation that was discussed with everybody?
So we took feedback from all stakeholders, and not speaking for Park and Rec, but they had concerns regarding maintaining a family-friendly area and not blurring all lines. And this way, there's a clear delineation between what is family-friendly, typically dense populated area and what could be part of the actual village downtown area. So keeping it off the beach to minimize debris, you know, garbage, crossing families and others. So it was just to kind of have a delineated, dedicated, family-friendly area.
So the first thing I thought when I was reading that was Bob's story about 4th of July and how you were sitting there and, you know, you couldn't have a cocktail, and how wrong, un-Wisconsin of us that was. And so the people sitting are gonna be sitting for that event, right, all over the beach too, and in the same scenario, and that's not as necessarily I don't see the events that we picked as highly family-friendly. And I'm wondering if we're trying to learn if that is causing more challenges from like a patrolling standpoint than it would be to make it more clear.
Any response? As far as, you're looking to do it on the beach too? Just to make it easier,
Yeah,
especially for 4th of July?
especially for 4th of July. But I
And
believe in
the
like consistency, so I
show.
think if we're gonna do it, it should include the same areas all 3 times. But just imagining, like, are we really saying that all these people sitting here on the 4th, no drinks for you, and all the people sitting here,
So
drinks for you?
the other element of dates and proposed areas and stuff like that is to, I don't want to say stress test, but to receive feedback. And if we opened up everything to everyone, then at no point could we say, and let's say there might have been issues or something, then it's like, well, we don't have any information on if we can run it with the beach closed, or can we do this without the beach? Because it's easier to open a box than it is to shut it. So here, at least we can get the feedback of how much of a stress is it on the police department to be able to control it, or how many issues, if we say nothing on the beach, how many still went over to the beach? And then we can have that feedback. Whereas if we say, yeah, everything's up, fair game, then if there is an issue, how do we pull it back, or how do we have any feedback then of, can we have delineated areas where it's not allowed? Because there, again, we tried to take feedback from all stakeholders and be respectful of all groups that had an input, and it was, again, not, I mean, Nick and Monica are here, they can speak for themselves, which I'd love for you to step up if you want, but I know there was some concern about maintaining some element of the park that, because we never allow alcohol in the parks, so this would be an exception, and it's not a special event permit, so therefore we would be going against what the Park and Rec bylaws, guidelines, whatever they are, and since that's a cross-municipality one, if we open up full lakefront park and beach to this, does that blur the line for them in other parks? And they had concerns about completely abandoning their guidelines. So again, I've already spoken way too much for you guys. If one of you would like to step up to.
Yeah. And there will be an education effort. There will be signage that's put up. But I look at it sort of like I look at AmFam Field right now, where you have family sections on all 3 levels, or all 3 levels, 3 of the 4 levels of the stadium that are family sections. They don't sell beer, they don't sell drinks there. Okay. Now, keep in mind, and I think the police chief will also reinforce this. This is the rules that we're putting into effect are rules that are meant to take to have an effect to remove or take care of issues when they come up, not for people that are sipping wine, you know, and behaving themselves. It's really for those people that are acting not in a very good way, and they have to be removed. I think I don't think the police are going to be looking at themselves as necessarily cooler police,
Yeah.
but there will be signs up that will be reinforcing that. I just think it's a good idea to keep the beach free as much as possible of alcohol. Difficult on July 4th, recognizable, understand it completely. But there will be an attempt to have signage, there will be an attempt to educate, and again, there'll be learnings along the way, that whatever this looks like in 2027, we'll take those learnings and make the best possible ordinance if this group feels it's worthwhile.
Any other questions or comments? No, as far as an ordinance, we're not gonna do anything this year. What we learn for next year, is that when we're looking at possibly
No,
doing the ordinance?
it would
at
be
that
for this
time?
year.
It would be this year.
It would be this is soliciting feedback from the stakeholder meetings to direct staff and Attorney Gerlinski to have an ordinance drafted for the June meeting. However, this was the framework that was presented to businesses as well as Park and Rec and the police. Obviously, it's all up for discussion here, but this is what we received feedback on and kind of crafted. And then from here, it would be then on staff and the attorney to draft an ordinance to review and vote on at the next meeting.
Okay.
I've got a question.
Yes, go ahead.
You said there's gonna be monitored checkpoints?
No.
Who's gonna-
No.
There's not.
The police are recommending against that.
Oh, okay, I missed that part. Okay. So in grand essence, this is an open intoxicant rule from, in a designated area at the village, minus the beach.
Correct.
Purchase from businesses. Yeah. Okay.
And then the reason being, picking a couple of events with the street closed and then one without the street closed is to provide the largest variety sampling of feedback and data to be able to craft. Because if we only put it on, 1 or 2 weekends where the street was closed, then how do we get an honest opinion on it? Expanding it, if it went great, to say, well, we should include that weekend. It's like, well, we don't know how pedestrians and traffic intermingle. We don't know how expanding the footprint of it would work. So this way, it kind of gives us the most amount of data to bring back afterwards.
Do we know of any other close by villages, cities that have these DORAs?
Well, Waukesha approved one, the city of Waukesha approved one last year that won't be implemented until this year. So they don't have any data or results resulting from it. I believe the city of Oshkosh has had one for a while that's not tied to events. It's just a designated outdoor area where people can have open intoxicants. And then I'm struggling to remember some of the other ones,
We
Matt.
talked about Delafield last week.
Yeah.
They do it in when there's events.
Yeah, like downtown wine walk,
Yeah.
those things. Yeah.
I think downtown Connewauk, I was just gonna Google Connewauk, but I think they do too.
I'm just thinking of cities that have them, right? Savannah, New Orleans, Las Vegas. People make it a destination, go to those events to let loose a little bit, which is exciting. It's gonna bring business. But I'm also concerned about the policing, littering, and all those. No, I think it's a good idea to test it. See what happens. Yeah.
I agree with the approach. I think you have to
Yeah.
pick some really good weekends. I like the thought process of a couple different options. I do 100% agree with the beach being off limits. The beach already, over the last couple of years, has already become a little bit of a troublesome area, particularly more so at the beginning of the year when people are just kind of getting back into the swing of summer and the excitement and everything. But I know a lot of families that already avoid the beach or won't send their middle-aged school kids to the beach themselves. So I think that is very important to keep it how we have it, if, as long as the police are okay with how this is set up and everything, and I think this is an awesome approach. So thank you guys for your work on this.
Can I ask the chief a quick question? Is that right? He's in
They're
the audience.
here.
Chief, quick question. Have you ever, I go to the beach all the time. Friends bring, a 6-pack of beer, sit there, hang out at the beach. I personally didn't know that alcohol wasn't allowed on the beach. I don't drink alcohol, but I had no idea. So with this in effect, do you think it'll be even harder to regulate that? area.
You're wondering if being an accessory to a crime will now be enforced on you?
I
now
didn't
and not
promote
before?
it. I did not promote it.
I'm just wondering.
You didn't know an Uzi was illegal, you know? But I never knew that.
We've never issued a citation. The only complaints we've had were from underage kids.
Yeah,
So we go talk to them,
right.
deal with check IDs and so forth. We have to be confiscated for the underage, and that's what we do. Otherwise, we've never had any issues.
I mean, you're not out there looking for people
No.
drinking. If an issue arises,
Yes.
you're going to address it, but it's not, you're, like you say, you don't want to be the cooler police. You don't want that relationship. You don't want that. People know how to behave. They're probably.
Right, however, we have, there's essentially checkpoints to get in. We have police on both sides of Wisconsin Avenue. We're very visible. I've always been there for 4th of July, never missed it. But we've never had incidents in the past.
And just
And
for the record, when because it's come up a lot, when we say cooler police, we're referring to the actual mechanism for keeping drinks cold and not hip police. Because it does get confused a lot when it's like, we don't want to be the cooler police, and it's like, well, all right. But, so just for clarification,
I
we're
guess I'm
talking
not
about.
that cool. I didn't think
Yes,
about that.
yeah. So, because it's referenced even in the packet and everything like that, I was like, okay, just to be clear, we're talking about the actual
Saying you're not
coolers.
cool. That's what he's saying.
That's right. But we asked a lot of questions at the meetings, and as from the police standpoint, we have no issues. We're very pro-business to move this forward. We have no issues at all. And again, it's a test year. We'll debrief in autumn, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, to make it clear that this is just for 2026, this isn't to be put in perpetuity unless there's X amount of complaints or anything like that. It can be expanded the same or nothing at all next year, and that'll all be based upon the data collected this year.
Yeah, and I would expect either, come October, November, we'll be discussing what should be done.
So just to be devil's advocate here, if we're trying to get all the information and all the data to make an informed approach, why wouldn't we test the beach, say on like the 4th of July weekend, to have that, to see, did it make any difference? I don't see that as like adding to the beach, some of the beach problems we've had with underage kids, because this isn't just a bring your cocktails ordinance. It's a go buy one, you're 21, you're gonna take one cocktail out of a restaurant and walk across the street. Like, that's what we're allowing to happen. We're not saying bring your milk jug of like colored alcohol, and that's what we're approving.
Those
So
are called Borgs.
is that what they're called? Oh, this makes me so sad for the children. But so do we, like, is there if this is truly to try all these different things with the different dates and different events, we don't have any interest in testing that?
Wait, what are you asking to test?
Allowing the beach.
Oh,
in
allowing
one
the
of
beach.
weekends.
Okay.
My personal thought after hearing the feedback from some of the stakeholders is that varying days or events is one thing, but varying geographical location would be tough to then truly accurately get a representation, because let's say we included the beach on 4th of July, and then all of a sudden Labor Day comes around and a bunch of people are drinking on the beach who just thought it was still open from 4th of July. Is that truly an accurate sample size of how many people would be drinking on the beach if it wasn't allowed? Because in their mind, it was allowed. So by us now saying it's not, it's kind of like the whole issue with having lifeguards at the beach. They could have had them 2 days a week, but you want to know when you're coming down there what the exact expectation is and not have any variations. If a family's coming down on 4th of July because they could drink, then maybe they're going to come down on Labor Day thinking that they could drink down there, and they're not. And so changing the geographic, same thing is like, well, why didn't we try a day removing Lakefront Park? Because, well, 2 out of the 3 have Lakefront Park. So now it's like, is that a true accurate sample size when it could just be carryover of people not knowing the change in?
We're just taking away the like biggest attraction part is my point of that. And I understand what you're saying, because I like consistency. And I completely respect the garbage situation and the concerns with that, but I guess I'm not clear how that's so different than the grass area
I think
front park.
the other part of it is the beach doesn't have a problem drawing people. Like, I mean, I don't think, you know, the whole intent behind this was to helping the businesses, creating vibrancy downtown. It wasn't just to pack the beach, you know, that happens naturally. This is to,
Yeah, but the beach would be so much cooler. Used it,
Everyone has
not the mechanism.
Plastic glass, right? Like
there's no
plastic.
glass allowed. It's only plastic and aluminum.
So I was thinking the first thing I do on a beach is take my shoes off.
I just think it's gonna be confusing as heck. It's gonna be like, is there yellow caution tape there? I mean, it's just like, hey, no drinks past this point. I mean, people are gonna be stepping on that beach all the time. I think you should just do it, all of it,
All
or
of it
not.
consistent.
Yeah, and then test it, and then see what happens. If it's creating a big issue with the beach, trash,
Well, like I
whatever.
said, if we open everything up, then we have no data to say that we can restrict.
What do you mean?
I'm saying if we open up all of downtown.
Yeah,
And let's say it doesn't work out, we have no information to say that we can eliminate the beach in the future.
well, we can just go back and say the trash, everything else was a
No,
pain
no,
in the- Oh,
yeah, okay.
But we're not,
I asked if Nick wanted to say
Yeah,
something,
Nick,
so
go ahead.
just.
hi, Nick.
Hi. I want you all to understand that I'm approaching this through a Parks and Recreation lens. That is my job. I don't feel that a change brings any positive benefit to the beach, Lakefront Park. I don't think that changes. There is no difficulty in a draw on what's going to be July 3rd this year, July 4th. There's no difficulty drawing people. We have a wonderful asset, whether it is or isn't family friendly is up to their discretion. I think the biggest thing for us is having an ordinance that crosses 15 parks, 2 municipalities, and trying to have, as you all have said, consistency. We're looking at changing it for a few days, few weekends this year. And honestly, I think most of the things that I expressed concern over in our stakeholder meeting have all been brought up in different fashions tonight. Consistency, locations, lines, policing, having a rule ordinance that we don't enforce, but yet we haven't had any issues. We haven't had any arrests. We've had some confiscation. That's it. You know, I see a lot more negative impacts to the park than I see positives. Right now, there is no red tape, yellow tape, whatever you want to have it, separating the beach from the grass area, because the rule is consistent, even though if it is ignored, reactive, whatever you'd like to call it. I just don't see the positives, and other than if we want to say it's the businesses being able to sell, but there has never been a draw or a difficulty in drawing an audience for the 4th of July. The Antique Boat Show coming back, it's a one-day event. I know we're trying to approach this for what does 2026 look like, and then maybe there's a chance for change in 2027. I don't see the benefits to what that creates for us. When we sat down in our stakeholder meeting, this was already laid out with the location. So while we're saying the beach is different, my feedback did not change the proposal that's in front of you. We shared concerns, certainly. I'm not sure what problem exists that we're trying to solve by creating ordinances. So that's kind of myself. I think generally our department, Monica's here, she's been here 20 years. She oversaw lifeguards when we had them. I mean, getting into water safety, street safety, those are all problems that you have sat here for years and years and had concerns about, that suddenly adding purchased alcohol didn't change. So those are our general feedback pieces. Ultimately, it is your village to make the determination, whether it's for this year, future years, however you want to approach that. But for Parks and Recreation and the atmosphere we've tried to create, we don't see a positive benefit.
Thank you.
Any other discussion, comments?
I guess I just one comment to what
Sure.
Jim was saying, and if I look strictly at the parks, I don't disagree what he's saying. But where the real true benefit is gonna be is on the other side of the street, okay? And so we've gotta look at this holistically, and do what we believe is the best for the village. And I think this is a very measured approach to see if we can implement something like this and learn from it, and then make a decision come October, November, if we want to continue it, or how we would want to change it for the future.
I have a question. How are you guys gonna be collecting data? You keep saying that. Are we going to businesses and see if they've made more money? Are we looking at ticketing for policing? Like, how are we measuring this?
So what I would suggest, first of all, I would hope that everybody on the village board is spending some time down in the village during those periods of time. I know I'm going to be down there probably all of those,
With a cocktail?
maybe.
Depending on the Dora.
But it really, I would hope that all of us have a chance to spend some time down there, and that helps in your decision on which way you want to go in the future.
I think to answer your question and clarify it, is the data going to be empirical spreadsheets that we're going to comb through and look at percent increases, year over year in their months of July, August, and whatever? Maybe not. Is it going to be anecdotal with asking, well, the police can provide actually empirical to say we've issued X amount of tickets this month and, such and such. We asked all the businesses to be very cognizant of what strain it put on staffing, what issues they had with external from other businesses customers bringing their drinks in, how much did they control the drinks leaving their area or anything like that. So, because we said, in order for it to work, everyone, we can't just have like one person benefiting from this and everyone else, getting the short end of the stick. So will it be everyone has to turn over spreadsheets? No, it's not that type of data. We'll change it to say feedback, because they'll know their business, they'll know their strain on resources more than we will. What's that?
Let's hope they all have P&Ls.
Yeah.
Got it.
But they're actually not going to be on board with it if it's not benefiting their businesses.
Yeah, go ahead.
So to comment on Mr. Phelan's comments, I don't think the idea is to draw during our busiest weekends. This is a test for the busiest weekends. I think the idea is to make this permanent, right?
Not necessarily.
Well, if it turns out well, expand it,
Right.
expand it. And I want to say the reason I joined the village board is to take the village of Pewaukee and make it more vibrant, make it more welcoming, make it more awesome. And even though I do not drink alcohol, it's going to make it more vibrant. It's going to attract more people. It's going to attract the scene. It's going to attract good things for the business or for the village. So I want to add the beach. And it's not because of, I just think it's like, hey, you can do it here, 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 but not here, and here, and here, and here. If you're going to do it, just do it. Just do it, because people are not going to respect that at all. And then, are like, hey, you can't drink on the beach. You can't drink. I mean, it's just going to be goofy. I mean, I would love to, take a drink from the local establishment, walk across the street in the crosswalk, look both ways, and dip my toes in the sand with a cocktail looking at the sunset. That sounds amazing.
True. I will, and respectfully, I will push back on that a little bit with saying that, when Bob and I sat down with all these stakeholders, we tried to take all their feedback into consideration. And while, with hearing Director Phelan up there, again, not outwardly excited about any part of the park being included, we felt it at least respectful to listen to one of our biggest stakeholders within the village.
But he said he didn't tell you not to include the beach. Right?
But you're including the lakefront park. So it's including one park, but not the other.
That was
So it's either all or nothing.
that was a push of compromise that, again, not speaking for you, but you said seeing alcohol in the park does not solve or isn't a solution to any problem that they have.
Right.
That's not exactly a glowing, endorsement of it. If I'm, again, not speaking for you, but that's the Park and Rec stance. They want to reserve a family-friendly environment and trying to be respectful of one of the best parts of Pewaukee and their wishes of maintaining a family-friendly environment while still being able to potentially expand the area to see how much does that alcohol cross the street, how many people want to sit at a picnic table in Lakefront Park and watch the sunset with a glass of wine or a margarita from Seasters or something like that. So to give an area outside of the actual business district to where it can travel to and receive that feedback while still being respectful to one of the main partners of our municipality. And I don't think going fully against their wishes is in my best interest, personally speaking, and I don't feel like it's in the village's best interest to go against it completely.
I don't know that this is strictly related to throwing a bone to Park and Rec. I'm not sure that that's.
I'm not saying
Did I
throwing a
agree with
bone,
that,
I'm
but-
saying it was in my mind, a semi-compromise, but.
So I would say that we're talking about 9 days, right? 9 days across the whole summer. I would like to just see us open the entire area, learn for those 9 days with consistency for people to understand, and then if the beach is where the problem area is, or if it's Lakefront Park, maybe it ends up being the problem area, or if people are getting run over by cars, then we can look at the whole thing in totality, but I think we're making it more complicated than it needs to be with the beach or not the beach. I would say, like Nick said, that we should just do the whole thing and for these 3 weekends, and that's how I would like to see it happen. Everything else is terrific, and thank you for putting this all together.
Can I transition to one more question I have? You were saying that the no glass bottles, will there be cans allowed? So cans, okay, so cans, and then would there be a restriction to how many people you could purchase to leave the establishment? Like a Miller Park, or I'm sorry, American Family Field, they say it's a two drink limit per person.
It's up to the establishment.
That's up to the establishment. Okay.
So all we regulate is where things can be consumed.
Okay.
The establishment selling the beverage still has to comply with their Class B or whatever license they have. Sell for
Some of them are-
on-premises consumption, which is state law.
Yeah,
So
some
they
of them are
still have
not
to
allowed to
comply
sell
with that.
packaged.
Correct. We can't change anything with that, with anything you're talking about here. We still have to comply with their licensing.
Very good, thanks.
Is the swim area.
At least state your name.
Hi, I'm Monica Caskey. I'm the Recreation Manager for Pewaukee Parks and Recreation Department. My concern is with the swim area. So obviously, if people bring in alcohol, we don't see it. We don't often get calls for it. But by promoting people able to take alcohol to a beach where there's a swim area that is not being guarded, I have concerns about that, because if something does happen there horribly, then it doesn't go back on the business owners. It goes back to the Parks and Rec and to the beach not being safe. And that's my biggest problem with not having it on the beach. I just think it really shows a lack of support in sobriety during swim times and when it's really hot and things like that. And so I just don't want the beach to be associated with some type of dangerous situation. And by having it allowed to be walked across and into, I think that's basically promoting it. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess just one final thing. Again, I firmly believe the best approach right now is to have the beach as a family area and have it alcohol-free. It just, like I said, you see it in other locations, whether it's Fan Field, whatever. I think we can do that without creating confusion. Right now, we already sell alcohol for 2 days out of the week on half of the lakefront park as it is, with Waterfront Wednesdays and the Ski Club. Okay, I would say 2026, let's do this, keep it the family area. I think they've given some viable concerns in the approach, and I think that's what we should look at. So it sounds like when we're talking about this, that's the only area where we have some disagreement on. It seems like everybody else is okay with going forward in this. Can we kind of finalize just that portion, the beach question, so that Matt has what he needs to start working on an ordinance?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, what I would like is a motion from the board for direction to staff to prepare an ordinance consistent with the framework you have presented to you.
I have a couple questions that came up during the discussion that I never thought of. First question, the Old Boat Club, are they gonna be selling alcohol? Do we know that?
The Old Boat Club.
For the antique.
The antique boat show?
Years ago when they had the.
There is a
shows
partnership
down
with
there.
Brufinity that they will have in place.
So they're gonna go through Brufinity?
Well, and,
Okay.
yeah, and I spoke to Chad before the meeting. He just had some questions on this as well. And he had no issue during that event and
Okay.
structuring his agreement with the antique boat show and everything. That, I don't know specifics, but he said, he voiced no, so if he does hold a special event permit for that, he's gonna maintain it.
He does not currently.
Okay.
But that is something that absolutely needs to be
He-
discussed because
He brought up that specific event and did not have objection to this being created and existing, and he even he gave me the framework of how he would position and delineation for his technical special event permit, if that is the case. So his impact on it is not of,
So, that's where I would caution the board for how to approach this, and I know we're not trying to look at next year, but the DORA and where it lays out and what it includes, to my understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong, an address can only have one alcohol sales permit. So, if Brufinity would be selling out of Lakefront Park, that would suddenly, whether he delineates 5 square feet or the whole park, I don't think you can have other carrying beverages coming to
So,
that
yes.
address.
So actually,
And
Chad-
that
so,
goes
yes,
way further
so
than
ti-
just
nope,
this.
Time out. I talked to Chad, who has talked to the Department of Revenue, and has clarified that for other events of which he would implement here in terms of where his premise is. Because just because you're using an address does not mean you are you can use the whole property. You can delineate a premise, which is a portion of the property. And he said he would be okay doing, even if you just did the concrete area of the pavilion, and then that would be his premise. Outside of that would still be applicable to the DORA.
That is correct, that it's not tied to an address number. It's a physical location. So like if somebody comes in with a Class B application, part of that application is a site plan or a building layout or blueprints or whatever that shows specifically within that building or that premise where alcohol is going to be sold and consumed. You're right that if somebody is selling or alcohol for consumption, if the boat show is in Lakefront Park and they have a premise, the DORA cannot include that premise because you cannot authorize people to consume alcohol bought at other establishments within that establishment. So Chad's establishment here. You can't have that crossover. That part is correct.
And if he is if he's the partner that would potentially be getting a hit from carry-ins or other people in that area, and if he's still advocating for this, I hold that in higher regard than all of us just here saying it, because it's actually his business.
And I'm fine with that, but the community confusion that can create, and like, for example, I spent 30 minutes on the phone yesterday and another 30 today. The ski club calling, asking about potentially selling on 4th of July during their show. So then it becomes this different back and forth conversation. They weren't aware of this. Rufinity was maybe going to be the seller. They didn't know if they wanted to do it. And it's just that trickle down where I think the education is going to severely struggle, and then the nonprofits down the road.
I mean, that's also a hypothetical because the ski team has never sold on 4th of July. So, so us doing this and crafting this, that was not a stakeholder because that was not to impact their Thursday night shows. So they could throw any random date out, or any nonprofit could come forward and say, well, I wanted to sell on the 15th. We can't take that into right, fair enough. But I'm saying the call I took today from one of the stakeholders, who's a business as well as would be potentially running at one of those events, still advocating for it, I think speaks volumes for what the businesses are wanting to try to glean from this. And if he's okay with it and it'd be impacting his business, I think that's a good backing.
But Matt, you said that, maybe I misunderstood. Let's say somebody from Artisan bought something on the 4th of July and walked down to sell at,
So
you can't cross the signs though.
So the hypothetical here, let's say the ski club has a stand in Lakefront Park on the 4th of July and is selling beer. Somebody buys a drink at Artisan and walks across the street. They can't go in whatever premise description that Chad has, or I'm sorry, ski club has selling under their permit. They can't do that. It's the same thing about somebody buying from Artisan can't walk out the door and then go into Seaster's premise. You can't do that. Anybody that holds a permit, whether it's temporary or permanent, to sell alcohol, they have their premise. They can only sell it for consumption on their premise or in an off-premise location where it's authorized, but they can't take that beverage onto another premise, whether it's temporary or permanent.
Well, if Chad is gonna be selling beer for the antique show, but we're still gonna let people buy from everybody else and walk around, how are we gonna police that?
Well, no,
Basically gonna have to shut that area.
no,
He
no,
has
no,
to,
no.
it's his responsibility to police
It's,
his own establishment.
right, and I mean, it's no different than people buying from him and walking around. His premise can be as narrow as he wants it to be. He can designate his premise as 5 feet surrounding his walk-up window at Lakefront Park, because they'll be selling out of the pavilion now. Just because he's selling out of the pavilion does not necessarily mean Lakefront Park is his premise. So the whole grass area is still fair game, it's still everything.
That's not how we've done
It's
it. in the
always
past.
how you do it. You have to,
No,
you have to
we've
do.
never done it that way,
Yes,
Joe.
think of,
I will say that the temporary Class B licenses that I've looked at in the past, they just say Lakefront Park.
yes.
So if we do this in the future, the premise needs to be clearly defined.
When,
Well, if it's Lakefront Park, people selling at the other areas cannot go into the Lakefront Park.
Unless he just designates the pavilion, the concrete
Correct.
area under the pavilion as his premise, then the whole grassy area would be open for any consumption.
and Matt, prior to
But if he
you,
doesn't, and he goes all the way to the
But that would
dam,
be up to us. We can also,
Yes.
we approve the permit, so we can also restrict them and say, your
Correct.
permit at Lakefront Park only pertains to the pavilion. We as a village board can restrict that.
Oh, I
If he
understand
doesn't,
that,
if he
but
doesn't
it's-
restrict
and
that.
premises do have to be defined, because I know when I had a special event permit for Lakefront Park, we had to draw the map of it. When I had a special event permit with a liquor license
Right.
attached to Village Park, we had to draw a line and map it out.
Right.
So, and that had to be included in the application, and it's all under the Department of Revenue to designate a premise. No different also, when we approved Handlebar for a liquor license, they had to delineate and designate a alcohol area inside of Velo City.
Right.
So what we're saying is, if who's ever selling down there, because this would be a one-off situation, if Chad is, and I should say chat, Brewfinity is selling during the Antique Boat Show, which at this point, I don't know one way or the other, but if it is, he knows he can designate a very small footprint as his actual premise, and just not using the address doesn't incorporate all of Lakefront Park.
But he could designate Lakefront Park if he wanted to.
And we don't have to
Because
approve
it's
it.
But we don't have.
the whole thing behind the antique show, from what I remember, the shows, and I attended them all, they had displays throughout, from the dam all the way over. They actually had stuff on the beach, but I'm not worried about the beach, because we're not gonna allow it. But on Lakefront Park, that was filled, and they had cars and things on the road in different areas. So if they're gonna sell beer or want, let's just say they do sell beer, and the beer place does do it, they're not gonna just say, well, I'm selling it at the pavilion, so they're not gonna walk any further than that.
Well, you can walk
They're gonna
anywhere.
wanna walk all the way down the park.
You can walk
Well,
anywhere.
somebody buying at the pavilion will be able to leave.
Right.
And then walk into the Dora like anybody else. They leave Artisans, Seasters, whatever. They have the same right to walk into the open area. They don't have to stay at the pavilion. What I'm talking about is they cannot take their drink from one establishment where they purchase it, walk into the Dora, then enter another establishment where they did not purchase it. Can't do that.
Okay, all right, no, that makes sense. The other thing is, I'm okay with the not doing it on the beach. I think that's a great idea, although I've seen a lot of glass and bottles that people bring in on the beach. I would say I will vote for this if I want to see signs on these occasions. And I don't mean one, I don't mean two, I want signs that say absolutely no drinking of alcohol on the beach. I'd like to say no dogs too, but we'll just go with the no alcohol on the beach.
Isn't there
I
drinking
want
on the beach
signs.
during a different event? Don't they have
Huh?
a concert there that's on the beach?
Well, the beach, well, you're thinking Taste of Lake Country
Yes.
or the beach party, of which the beach would then be designated as part of their special event.
The special event?
Right, and
Okay,
that's totally different than what we're
got
doing
it.
now.
Okay.
So I would want that to be part of the ordinance, that there will be signs out there, and since we have an ordinance, the ordinance could be listed on the bottom of the sign, no alcohol, period, whatever, per ordinance this.
What's the
Because I
fine?
don't want people bringing their own stuff in either. 'Cause that could definitely affect what we find out about having this down at the beach. I mean, down at the lake. So with that being said, I don't know, does anybody else have any more issues or comments?
I'd like to
Staff?
make a motion that we adopt or direct the village attorney to write an ordinance reflecting what has been put together in this document.
And I'd like to say that you gotta have the signs on, Bob. There's nothing in there that says anything.
I'll get you the Crayola crayons and the paper to do it.
Do I have a second?
Second, Grabowski.
Okay,
Put enough hours into this, I might as well.
all right, we have a motion and a second. Let's do a roll call vote. She's never been done that, so.
Okay. Trustee Stahl. You're welcome.
Yes.
Trustee Roni.
Yes.
Trustee Belt. Yes. Trustee Pater. Yes. Trustee Kreiser.
Yes.
Trustee Grabowski.
Yes.
And President Knudsen.
Yes. Okay. Review, discussion, and possible action to approve a new logo for the Joint Park and Rec Department. I hope everybody's had a chance to look it over. I think it looks really nice, but that's just my opinion. Are there any questions or comments as it relates to that particular item? And if there are none, I'll look for a motion to approve the new logo.
I'll make a motion to approve the new logo for the Joint Parks and Recreation Department.
Second, Peter?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Nick, and, okay, for that. Review, discussion, and possible action regarding special event permit for Waterfront Wednesdays for additional alcohol vending sales at Lakefront Park. Again, I hope everyone's had a chance to read through it. Are there any questions or comments as it relates to that?
Make a motion to approve the special event permit for Waterfront Wednesday, for the additional Waterfront Wednesday and, oh wait. Okay, make a motion to approve the special event permit for Lakefront Park for the vending during the ski shows and the summer sizzle.
Second, Rhodey.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is hereby adopted. Review, discussion, and possible action to approve a proposed change order for the design of Prospect Avenue by R.A. Smith. Again, I hope everyone's read through it. Are there any questions or comments as it relates to that particular item? If not, would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the change order for, is everyone clear on what this was? Just because we had a big discussion on it at the DPW meeting.
If I could ask a question. I did see that they talked about the potential putting sidewalks on both sides of the street.
Right. So.
Why?
Yeah, so that's, I'm
I
glad.
understand the grading makes sense.
I'm glad you asked that, because that's what caused a lot of the discussion on this. So originally, Director Beagle brought it to our attention that obviously we have, to, you know, quote Shel Silverstein, the sidewalk to nowhere, that one stretch, one house of sidewalk that just goes to nowhere. And he had brought up the idea when we were originally talking about the proposal a couple meetings ago, was putting sidewalk on both sides, connecting that up the hill. Great idea. The problem was, at the time, the GIS showed our street border being right at the end of the asphalt. So we had assumed that that would require getting easements from all of those properties, and we're just like, if one person fights us on it, it's, you know, it's for naught. So we said, don't even include it in there, don't waste our breath, because we're gonna fight the easements, and then we're gonna have to build retaining walls and everything else like that. So we scrapped it. Then after having the survey done, come to find out that the street is actually much wider than what is there. So we actually wouldn't need easements, because that'd be our property anyways. So then the thought is, okay, well, we cleared the hurdle of the easements. What about the sidewalk? It kind of put it a little bit back on the table. You know, Trustee Belt can give her view of it as well. It didn't seem like there was an overwhelming appetite to do the sidewalk because of obviously the added expense and such. But then the thought was, okay, well, what if we just kind of build it in to the design part now of the grading and such, so that going forward, if there is an appetite to put sidewalk on that side, we're already graded for it, we're already good. We have the design for it. It can be rolled into potential grant applications going forward, because we already have the design portion. So it could be submitted then for, you know, a safer street or one of those type of grant programs. And at that point we said, okay, if we're doing all the design work already, let's take it the, you know, 1/10 of a mile further and get that element of it to give us more options in the future. Not necessarily saying that we would go ahead with sidewalks right now, but it gives us the opportunity in the future if it becomes cost efficient or effective. Director Beagle, is that pretty accurate, as you remember?
Kelly, do you have anything to add?
No, I mean, that's a good representation of what was discussed at the meeting. My point of it was, I think it would be nice now albeit needs to be extremely cost-effective. We have a lot of expenses going on in the village right now, but seeing as though the school is right there, I do think having sidewalks on both sides of the street is nice. And the sidewalk on the other side of the street, you basically feel like you're walking on the street because it's so close to the street. And I just think having a sidewalk on that side of the street, especially with the library down there and everything, and coming up and attaching into the sidewalk that goes up to the school, it just amazes me with our whole school system up there that we just really don't have a real accessible walking or bike accessible campus from other areas in the village if you don't live in those neighborhoods right there. So I just thought it would be nice, but I'm also not looking at spending millions of dollars to
Yeah.
get it done either. You know, it's weighing that, it'd be really nice to have.
It actually played into both sides of the board being Public Works and Safety, you know, because it was like, okay, the Public Works side of it is the survey, the grading, the infrastructure, the design, and then the safety, as, you know, Trustee Bell was saying, that, I mean, our whole campus is there. Like, why isn't it the most accessible point in the village? The safest, most accessible point in the village. So it's like, okay, let's just try to set ourselves up for the most opportunities in the future. So it's not guaranteeing that there'll be sidewalks there. It's just giving us the design to see if it would be possible in the future of adding sidewalks. It's weird to have that one stretch of sidewalk, though, that just goes nowhere.
Any other comments? Well, the only comment I have is that I remember when, in my older boards, when it came up to sidewalk design and sidewalk installation, somewhere along the line, the boards and the planning commission, if the people that were gonna get the sidewalk, unless it was already installed, could say, no, I do not want a sidewalk in my front yard. And the village would not put a sidewalk in. So I would say we would have to contact each individual that lives there to make sure that they want the sidewalk in the near future.
Actually, I was on the plan commission when this changed. So now I'm dating myself. I finally get to do one of those. Well, back in my day, it was when, is it Spring Street that connects Maple to whatever?
Spring Street, that's.
And it was an issue because the sidewalk was, one of the houses there, actually, when we shifted the road over, one of the houses was only like 3 feet off the curb. And he's like, so you're gonna put a sidewalk past this and people are just gonna walk past and look into my bedroom? And so they fought it like tooth and nail.
Right.
And we changed it at that point.
And there was another one where there was a longer sidewalk, and I don't remember if it was on Sussex.
Yeah.
But there was another one.
I remember that one as well. So
And they said, no,
that
we
set
do
the
not.
precedence, though, that they fought it, where we're not gonna pay for this to, and then it was a drainage issue. He's like, water's gonna be coming down the sidewalk into my house, and yeah, so now I'm rambling like I've been on the board for 40 years, but yeah, I remember that point.
Typically, the sidewalk is in the right of way.
Yeah, it's our
So
control.
it's not, yeah. There is an ordinance where the Public Works Committee can recommend assessment occur so that they have to pay for the sidewalk.
Yeah, that was
It's good to go out and meet with them and kind of get their interest on it, but in the end, it's Public Works and Village Board that makes the final decision.
we passed that as an exception to the ordinance.
I would like to see the other sidewalk widened and made better than it is now, and actually widened, because that right there is terrible. And I believe, don't we have a sidewalk on the other side
Now it's the
of
cemetery.
Lake Street that goes up
To the school? Oh,
up to
sorry.
School Street?
Lake's only on one side.
Past the library, we've
Yeah.
got that one little sidewalk, but then we have one that goes, I think we have a sidewalk that goes all the way up.
It does go all the way up on the, what would be the south side of Lake Street. The library side does not have a sidewalk
Right.
that goes all the way up.
So you'd be just putting another sidewalk on the same triangle,
Yeah, that triangle basically would be
to
connected.
me is a waste of money. It just doesn't make any sense to put another sidewalk when they've got that one, and then they also have the one by Yankees that could be made better.
And that was 100% the consensus from the DPW board, especially when we thought that there was gonna be easements involved. Now, when to find out that it's our property, it's one of those where if it opens us, because a lot of these grants you can't apply for until you have design work done. So to have it designed, if one becomes available to where we can get funding to do it, then it would be in our best interest to do it, because as you know, Trustee Belt said about creating the safest routes to the school campus, it's just, it's weird right now.
Yeah, if we don't want to assess the property owners, we don't want to do that, then we could have it graded out, and then I could apply for a grant. The village would apply for a grant in 2 years from now to try to get, it's called the Safe Path to School grant. I think it's
Safe routes to school.
Safe Route to School. So I had applied for it this year, and actually was working with the DOT on it, but then they wanted all the easements to already be obtained, or the right of way.
Well, my concern is that down the road, when we can put the sidewalk in, if we do, the people are now responsible for the sidewalk.
That's true.
We
but
don't
that's-
put it in, but if the sidewalk breaks, they have to repair it, they have to shovel it, and people,
That's the whole
I'm not
village
thrilled
is
with
that
that.
way. I mean, everyone who has a sidewalk throughout the entire village is responsible for their own sidewalk. It's no different for these people than everyone else.
Basically, just to find out in the future if it's feasible.
any other comments or questions?
If you are gonna look at those grants in the future, can you look at the other side too, going up Prospect, like on that corner where it stops by the apartments?
So that's already built in, right? Because that was the compromise when we said, no, we don't want to deal with easements here. Let's extend the portion up there to connect Maple to the sidewalk system. And Director Bucco had enough foresight to those 3 new houses on the corner had to build sidewalk into their driveways already. So we're looking to expand that route also.
At any time, you could say, hey, I want to go and put sidewalk in front of that apartment building. And the Public Works Committee could order it in. And then we could design plans and have it installed.
That feels really dangerous when people are trying to walk up there.
But in the future too, there's a really good chance there's gonna be a walking path from the school all the way out to I-94. It's already under design right now in the city.
Okay, are there any other questions or comments? Someone like to make a motion?
I'll continue my original. I'll make a motion to approve the proposed change order for design of Prospect Avenue. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Review, discussion, and possible action to approve a drainage easement at 765 Glacier Road as part of the 2026 street and utility project. Again, has everybody had a chance to read those through? Are there any questions or comments as it relates to that particular item? If not, I'll look for a motion to either approve or deny.
Real quick, one comment on this. I don't know if we had video at the time this originally came up, but I'm pretty sure that I said, if this guy comes back after all this and says, okay, you could put it in now, my vote is for no, you had your opportunity and you passed on it. So just as we projected or predicted back then, that when we weren't going to pay anything out for this, that eventually it was going to come back. And it's tough because I don't want to vote against it because it helps the village and it helps the drainage there. But I think this was ridiculous in the whole grand scheme of things that he fought it at the beginning, and then now in the 25th hour we have to change plans.
It is gonna cost the village more money.
Exactly, and I'm pissed about that.
think the rain helped a lot. Change his mind. Mm-hmm. Are there any other questions or comments?
Well,
Yeah.
thank President Knudsen.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I did want to thank Director Beagle for his tenacity and his focus on this issue, because he's trying to improve the conditions in the street. And history notwithstanding, if it's an improvement for the street, maybe it's a good thing for the board to consider.
I would have preferred having my trees cut down so you could run the drainage there. Or router the pipe that's already there.
We couldn't find the end of that. It only went like 8 feet and then ended.
Yeah.
So,
If I could just make one other comment. then.
Yeah.
Trustee Grosky, I kind of feel the same way. However, I look at the people, including my property,
I know.
where the water is going to be standing if that's not properly draining, and we're being punished. We would be being punished then because of his poor decision.
I know.
Yeah.
And now the village is getting punished for it, so I hear you and agree with you. I knew this was gonna happen, and it just really ticks me off.
I'm waiting for somebody to say something about either yes or no, or
I'd like to make a motion to approve the drainage easement for 765 Glacier Road as part of the 2026 street and utility project.
Second, Vader?
okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is hereby carried. Review, discussion, and possible action to purchase a message sign from Vermac. This is over budget, but not by a whole lot. I thank the DPW to continue to add to the safety and messaging to the village people, residents. I hope everyone's had a chance to look this over. Are there any questions or comments as it relates to this particular item?
I think it's awesome idea. How long till we take receipt of it? I mean, is it a this year thing?
Yeah.
Okay, it's in stock or?
Yeah, they're made in Colorado. Shit.
Perfect. I think it's a great idea for the village.
We only need one.
We need like 7, but start with 1.
One for each road. Okay, I'll look for a motion here again, unless there's more discussion.
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of the message sign from Vermac.
Second, Roy.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is hereby adopted. I'd like to skip G and not even talk about it, but review, discussion, and possible action and an update for the installation of a concrete median at the Oakton Railroad crossing. Matt, give us the good news.
Yeah, thank you, President Knudsen. I agree, this is my least favorite item on the agenda tonight, partially because it's just so nebulous and there's no clear path moving forward. Just to remind the board, when we last talked about this, we were actually anticipating at that point a request from the DOT asking us if we were going to let them install it this year. And during the course of that conversation, the board had asked or directed staff to ask the DOT, would they consider reducing the size of the median from the plans that they had submitted in '25. So we did that, and part of this agenda item tonight is just to update the board on the status. So there's no action required, and not even really a good firm recommendation on the next step. But we heard on May 5th a response from the DOT, and that they would not be willing to spend their safety money on a reduced size median. So their answer was no. A potential next step on this for the village would be to design our own median. But I defer to other thoughts on the board and other questions that the board might have for staff to explore on this issue.
I personally think this is great news, because we finally are moving this forward. I mean, this is basically what we had anticipated going into this when I originally brought it back to the board with the option of not leaving this up to the hands that dealt us this crap that we have now. If it may cost us a few dollars, but at least we get to control the destiny of our downtown. We sat here for an hour discussing this open container during these closed street events like 4th of July and the Antique Boat Show. If we go ahead to save $20,000 on the construction of a concrete median, that takes away that left turn. It also takes away our 4th of July. It takes away our Antique Boat Show. It takes away every other opportunity to close that downtown. We talked about the increased, safety and the safety concerns down there this year. And what do you think routing all traffic past our beach, including commercial trucks, deliveries, and everything else, that'll now have to go down Wisconsin Ave to take a left on Oakton to leave town? This would be the definition of penny wise, dollar foolish. If we go, well, boy, to save $20,000, wherever it is, let's just have the Wisconsin DOT do that, and then we can sit there for the next however many years listening to all our constituents complain about not being able to make a left turn out of there and how the village was so stupid, and we could go back to our standard excuse of, well, we didn't have any say in it, like we have with this Oakton crossing to begin with. And the left turns they already took out. And I'm sure all of you have said that to somebody within the past month of, we didn't have any say in that design. Well, now we have a chance to have a say in that design. And as the railroad has stated in the past, that we have to take all reasonable measures to eliminate those left turns. And I don't feel like it's saying that we're unreasonable by, at our own cost, extending those medians, putting up maximum signage and everything else. I feel like the village at that point has shown a concerted effort to eliminate the left turns from Capitol onto Capitol and from Capitol onto Clark, to eliminate the queuing over the tracks. And it is in my belief that shows that we're taking safety serious there, while we still allow for the left turn of Capitol heading towards 16. We would be foolish to go the full length of this and route all traffic past our biggest safety concern of the beach. But, so whereas, obviously there's still some ambiguity here, I think it's fantastic. We finally have an answer from DOT, and we can make a plan going forward. It's in our hands now. My opinion.
That's well said, but we're still gonna be rolling the dice per se, right? We're gonna try to do our best to prove to the DOT that we're making it more safe and that we can improve our goal too, right?
I mean, we've been living with these temporary medians since then, so we would be making those temporary permanent.
Correct.
And adding proper signage and everything else, and I feel like that checks that box of taking reasonable steps to increase the safety at that crossing.
I'll be a fool to ask though, if I didn't ask, what happens if we do it all and it doesn't accomplish what we're trying to accomplish? And that's for the quiet zone, correct? Or am I completely off on this?
No, it'd be.
They're different but related.
Yes, but I put them together. That's one step, correct?
Not necessarily a step in it. It would be tangentially associated, I guess, because it's just, it's increasing the safety in there.
Yeah.
And the order and I'm speaking for Attorney Grulinski, but after combing through the order from the ORC, or who's the one that, no. OCR, sorry. It was that the village needs to take reasonable measures to eliminate the left turn there. And I feel like the fact that we've been operating for 2 years now with the medians at the length they're currently at, with the signage, with updating the signage, DPW changes out the orange flags every couple months, of which now I think they're metal ones. We've made a very concerted effort. And what's to say that extending it another 10 feet is gonna prevent somebody from putting a left turn signal on, trying to crack a U-turn and have to do a Y turn that stops all traffic? You can't fix stupid. And I think taking the medians permanently to where they are now shows that we have done a concerted effort to stop all reasonable motorists from making that left turn.
I agree with you. Are people still making left turns there?
Yes.
Occasionally, yeah.
Same.
Yeah, and I mean, I have no problem, you know, as a board, seeing if we want to direct patrol greater, you know, increase signage, do everything else. But like I said, as long as, in my opinion, we check that box that we've taken all reasonable measures, because you can't prevent everyone from doing everything. I mean, someone could still take a left turn and drive over the median, you know, so you can't predict every single measure or every single action taken by every motorist out there. But at least now we know the ball could be in our court. Do I like the fact that we have to pay for it? Absolutely not. But I would gladly find $20,000 or whatever $1,000 out of the budget somewhere else to pay for this, to ensure higher safety downtown and the vibrancy of downtown events.
Well, we gotta stop buying expensive signs then.
I know.
So the clarifying thing we received from the DOT is if we are going with the length of the medians we have right now, they won't pay for them.
Correct.
That's the only thing that changed.
Yes.
Okay.
So you need direction of what to do next, right? We need to,
Correct.
yeah, so we need to design it.
That is a potential next step.
Yeah.
If we don't like DOT's design, we should create one of our own.
Right. That's what we wanted. Well, some of it. Yeah.
I think that's what everyone living north of Oakton wants.
Correct. 100%. So what do I gotta do to tell you to do that?
Just a motion directing staff to come up with a proposal from R.A. Smith to design it.
That's a design, and then we gotta send it out to build bid to make it, right?
I'll make a motion to direct staff to seek design work for the Oakton median.
Second, Rody.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any other comments as it relates to this particular item? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. Motion is hereby carried. Review, discussion, and possible action on proposed contract with Baker Tilly for auditing services to the village 2026 to 2028. Hope everyone's had a chance to look at this. Are there any questions, comments as to what was proposed? If not, I'd just like to say one thing. We've been, for as long as I've been on the board that I can remember, we've always had 5-year contracts with our auditor and with our assessor. And I did talk to John from Baker Tilly, because I told him I was gonna ask the board to make this to a 5-year, not a 3-year. He said that he would still do the 2%. That the only thing that needed to be changed was the date, from 2026 to 2020 to 2030. So I would like the board, if they're okay with it, to make it a 5-year agreement like all the other agreements that we have.
So the information that was provided that did the comparisons between the different municipalities, the complexities that the village of Pewaukee has, I look at, I know Baker Tilly's done a great job for us. Staff has worked very well with them. The fact that they're willing to extend a contract, whether it's 3 years or 5 years, by only 2% growth every year is really good, in my mind, that they're willing to do that. So I'm very much in favor of extending this, and again, I'd be happy to go up to 5 years also.
Are there any other questions or comments? Would someone like to make a motion if there's no other comments?
I'd like to make a motion to extend the contract to Baker Tilly for a period of 5 years at 2% growth as described in the document.
Second, Peter?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, motion is hereby carried with 1 nay. Review, discussion, and possible action on proposed contract with Walden Nitsky. Did I say it right? Yes. Okay, and Taylor SC for village attorney. I think he's done a great job. I would like to see that the village keep him on board.
I appreciate that, President Knutson. I just want to say that the reason for the change is explained in the documents, so I'm happy to answer questions on that. But it's been my privilege and joy to serve as the village attorney for the past few years, and I hope to continue that relationship, but I just want to emphasize that I don't see any of this as automatic. So if there are questions that the board has on any aspect of the contract, please have at it. I'm happy to answer anything. I will say that the form of the contract, if you're not familiar with it, is the exact same that you've had with my current firm, soon to be prior firm since 2004. There was a question raised about the hourly rates that we charge for services. You'll see those are in the proposed contract. Those are the rates I currently charge, that we currently charge. We historically have not ever raised those rates or adjusted those rates without separate board approval. So I would continue that going forward, that I don't raise those unilaterally. I don't come to staff or Matt and say it's time for rate adjustments. I come to the board when it's appropriate to do so. I'm not saying that, or I'm not bringing that as part of this because I don't think it's appropriate at this time to do that. The other specific thing I want to address and highlight for the board and for the public is the conflict that would arise if the board does approve this contract, in that the library director is here, but she's a little mad about this, but I'm joining her current attorney, Bill Workus, who's a fine attorney. But I'm joining his firm, and by doing that, he represents the library. By doing that, it creates a potential conflict of interest based on past issues where the library and the village have been adversaries to each other. Currently, that's not the case. But you can think of times like the joint library agreement, the lease, where the village is on the opposite side of the library in those types of matters and negotiations. That creates a conflict. It's a waivable conflict. Both parties can waive it to allow for my new firm to represent the village and the library at the same time. Part of what we are saying, though, is if those matters arise in the future, where the library and the village find themselves as adversaries again, my firm, neither myself nor Attorney Workus, can be involved in that, and both the library and the village would have to seek independent counsel. So that is part of the contract, part of what the village would agree to by signing this, and that's something that has to happen in order for us to satisfy our ethical duties as attorneys to our clients. So
It's all right, I saw it on Suits. It works out.
it does work out, right? Other than that, those are the high points. So any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Are there any questions or comments as it relates to this item? Yeah, I would just like to say that being the oldest member on the board, and Jim being the second. Sorry, Jim.
Most veteran member.
You know, I just like to say that for the many years that we've worked with Mark and now Matt. I believe there was one time where we did have an increase, but it was so minor, it's now to what it is now. And if you check around, I think you're gonna see we are getting one hell of a deal for what Matt does for us and what Mark did for us, so. I do expect sometime in the next year or so that you may be looking at coming back to the board. Anyway, with that being said, would someone like to make a motion?
So, I just have a question. When you said the library piece, so there were so many meetings where we talked about that at length. So can you not have any, can you be a part of the meeting? Do you have, like?
You're talking about the library negotiation?
Correct.
So, the short answer is no. Anything related to the library lease or the joint library agreements, we would probably have a conflict where we would both have to step in.
Even if the two entities say that they have no problem with it?
Yes, so the short answer is no, and I say that because it is, but the long answer is it depends. Okay, it depends on if the interests of the village and the library are not aligned in a particular way. So it's one thing to say no, like not, but it depends on what.
And like the drafting of the lease and everything, that still would fall in like your court, no pun intended?
No, that would, if we're talking about the lease, that's between the village and the library. That's something where both parties would. Yeah, it's not an insignificant thing, so it's something that needs to be addressed.
We would need to make sure that we like budget accordingly for that then, right?
Well, in theory, if we're paying an outside counsel, we wouldn't be paying Attorney Orlinsky, so it's not, it would be a net zero.
I see.
The other thing is our current agreements with the library are 20 years?
Oh, are they that long?
We just settled the contract.
Yeah.
Okay, I forgot that they
So
were that
I'm
long. I was thinking.
kind of hoping that won't rear its head.
Like, man, we just went through, that was a lot of time.
Matt will already be retired on the same
Okay.
beach in Aruba as Mark at that point,
Yeah,
so.
okay. I was thinking about the police one, I think.
Both Matts will be on the beach with in 20 years.
Knudsen will still be here.
I hope we're all at the beach in 20 years, like, let's just be
Agreed.
fair about that. Okay, thanks.
Okay, if there's no more discussion,
Motion to approve the proposed contract with Walden, Nitsky, and Taylor, SC for village attorney services.
Second, Peter.
here we have a motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Review, discussion, and possible action on proposed update to the village employee handbook allowing work from home. Who wants to go with this? I know Jenna, you were kind of spearheading it.
Kind of a joint effort.
State your name.
Yeah, I was going to. Jenna Peter, village clerk, Village of Pewaukee, 235 Hickory Street. So village staff is already kind of doing this sporadically. It kind of started, well, as long as I've been here, we've been doing it. It's been very sporadic though. I want to say it just a little bit more so in 2024 with me and the previous clerk, previous treasurer. We were looking for a new treasurer twice. We were looking for a deputy treasurer. I didn't have a clerk for a couple of months, so it was kind of impossible to get everything done within an 8-hour period. So the previous clerk treasurer and I kind of thought, well, if we can maybe start bringing our laptops home, start working on stuff, because there were still things that needed to get done. There was an election at that time. So that's kind of when we started doing it all, kind of like that. But it was very sporadic. We just would take it home, work from home, work on our stuff, get our council packets out, everything else. And so it's kind of just been blooming from there. We haven't had any problems with it. It's really just been helpful to staff, especially if like someone has a doctor's appointment. Like for me personally, I had one last week at 10:30 in the morning. So instead of having to take PTO from 8 a.m. to 11, 12 p.m., I worked from home from 8 to 10. I went to my appointment and then I came here. So I didn't have to take PTO for that whole time. So that was really helpful. It's been helpful when there's been inclement weather. If we know it's coming, if we know the schools are going to be closed, if we know the roads are going to be bad, we take our laptops home and we can work from home. And then that way we also can answer our emails. We have a app on our laptops that now we can answer our phones from our desk. So that's very helpful as well. So we can just really be open to the public when we wouldn't be before. So it's actually been very helpful in that matter. I don't believe anyone's ever abused it. Like I said, it's very sporadic. No one's done it for a whole week. It's usually not just doing it because we want to, because we don't want to be in the office. It's just really been, you know, whenever we've needed it. So it's been really helpful. Even if I bring my work cell phone home sometimes, so even if I just check my work email once in a while, that's technically working from home. So we just wanted a policy on the books. We tried putting this on, I think, when the previous clerk was here, but it just kind of fell through the cracks. So now we've brought it back to the board. So we brought this to the labor attorney, Brian Waterman. So everything that's redlined in here is from Attorney Waterman. So he's had a couple of other municipalities that he took from. And so he kind of put it all together, and that's what he came up with.
I may have missed skimming the red line, but who has do you all check in with Matt then prior? Who has the ultimate authority?
We let him know.
Okay. I just to make sure that
Yeah.
there's not the random time that
Oh, no, right,
that
no.
four people all have a
It's
doctor's
not like,
appointment and
nah,
no
we're
one's
not
down
coming
there.
in. No, we usually say, hey, Matt, like, is this okay if we do this day? I either have a doctor's appointment or our parents are in town and I just wanted to work for a little bit while they're here. You know, sometimes we're at.
There is oversight though of staffing.
There is, yeah. So, and we don't have any part-time people, so I don't know if it would be part-time people, but we don't have any of those in our office. So it's really just up to the, what am I trying to say? My words.
Well, and typically in our office too, we always try to keep 2 people in office.
Right.
Right.
So
Yeah, we make sure the office is staffed, so we wouldn't do it like on the day before the election. You know, it would be up to the discretion of the, you know, staff. Obviously, if we don't have time or if you just can't do it, then we just say, no, you can't that day. So it's pretty, I don't want to say lax, but it's not being abused, and we don't do it a whole lot. It's just been helpful when we can.
Questions or comments from the board?
I guess one of the questions I have is if whatever with the administrator's overview of the current, how it's currently being done, and there's no issues, and it's being treated only by exception, why is this needed? I look at this and all of a sudden I'm seeing people going, well, I'm taking Mondays off and I'll be working from home, and somebody else is gonna go, well, I'll take the Tuesdays, you'll take Wednesdays. Well, no, we should have staff present. Just as we need to be present at meetings, staff should be present in the office with the exception of special circumstances, doctor's appointments or inclement weather, things like that.
I think the reason we did it was because we were afraid that if we didn't have something on policies, someone could come back and say, well, you don't have anything, so we can just do whatever. So I think that's why we kind of wanted to have it redlined in there, just in case anything came up.
Yeah, I guess I don't have any problem with it. It is just exclusively for the exceptions. Bad weather, doctor's appointment, things like that.
Right.
It is not meant to be, people get to
No.
have a work day.
Right.
Does it
Yeah.
say that in there, though, that it
I
is
don't
for, the intention of it is not to have a rotating work from home day where you're home on Mondays and Mackenzie's home on Tuesdays?
Yeah, no, I don't think there's anything in there that has a rotation.
I mean,
It just
I
has the
agree with what
eligibility
staff we have right
requirements.
now, that
Yeah.
you guys are gonna maintain how you are doing this, but again, we're not gonna be here, and if this policy is in place as we get a new, hopefully not for a long time, new administrator or things, how is that? Is that going to present problems down the road with it becoming more of a routine thing? Or should there be language in here from the office standpoint that there does need to be at least 2 people in the office?
I guess it's kind of stated, you know, that there's still oversight from the administrator, whereas employees have to have a satisfactory performance, attendance, and disciplinary records. So, you know, if it feels that it's impacting work in any way, it still has guideline or guardrails to retract it, which.
Well, right under eligibility, it says employees are eligible to work from home on an as-needed or infrequent basis upon the request of the employee and the approval of the supervisor.
Right, or if someone is sick, like just with a cold, but we don't want to get the whole
Right.
office sick, we can still work, but not get everyone in the office sick, so.
I mean, I agree and acknowledge where Bob's coming from, and I also think it's a great idea because truthfully, I have a hybrid schedule. I'm home 2 days, in the office 3 days. I can tell you I get more done because I work longer hours when I work from home because I eliminate an hour of commuting time and such. So I get it, you know, snowstorms, rather than do an hour and a half of a commute downtown, I could sit on my couch right away at 6:45 a.m. and logged in.
Right, and if we close Village Hall, we can actually log in and we
Still
can
get
work
work
and
done.
still be
Yeah.
available.
So I do agree with that, and I agree and acknowledge with what Trustee Rhodey was saying, that it's not meant to be advertised as a hybrid position.
Right, and we didn't want it to be,
You know.
yeah.
As long as it's still in there with oversight of approval, and, you know, we've stated before that we trust Matt to run his team and have the productivity level that, to the standards the village, you know, requires. As long as that part's still in there, that it's for exceptions, it's for, you know, pending approval, all that stuff, then I would be okay with that.
You want anything changed in here to bring back to Attorney Waterman? Do you want anything added, taken out?
I've got a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Is the concern the staffing of the office for people coming in?
Correct.
No. Oh, the
That's the
concern for,
concern.
oh, okay,
Just-
yeah, I would just,
Front counter traffic.
oh, right, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because you don't, I've been there. I've been in an office job where I was a single guy in my 20s with a 4-wheel drive truck. And if it ever snowed over 5 inches and the schools were closed, I was the only one there because they knew I was going to show up. I didn't have kids. I didn't have a family. And having one person basically fielding a team of requests and things was awful. So that was my concern, is that it's going to come down to where there's one person in the office and the phone's ringing. Someone's trying to buy a dog permit at the window, and then they answer emails, and it's just going to be chaos.
and
that's-
we have that even sometimes without working from home, so
Right, so
it's.
that's what I'm saying, is to make sure that there is
Yes,
ample
yes, we
staffing
wouldn't,
in
right,
the
like if there
office.
was only gonna be one person and someone's just like, well, can I work from home that day? Then that'd be up to the department head to tell them no.
Right.
And then Matt, this is just for your office, right?
Correct.
Look, I'm all in favor of you guys working from home whenever the heck you want, as long as the work's done. And then as long as it staffs whatever's needed that the village needs. I've been working remotely since 2008 and I'm super productive. So,
And a lot of things we can't, we know that. We gotta answer the phone, we gotta be there
Yeah.
for the people. We can't sell licenses from our laptop, we gotta be in here, so,
just be
Yeah.
careful what you ask for.
right, yeah.
I'm going to disagree with there's a world of difference between the public and the private sector when it comes to, we've got taxpayers that are paying for people to be in the department and working here, okay? While I understand, and I also benefited from being able to work at home and have a hybrid schedule. Public sector, I look at this completely different. I'm not saying, again, I'm all for the exceptions when there's doctor's appointments, bad weather, things like that. That makes complete sense.
Yep.
I just don't want this to turn into where we've got a rotating, days at home.
That's my main concern. Agreeing with that.
Matt, I know that you're not a labor attorney, but is there a way, do we have to put that in there somewhere?
Well,
Should I
I
ask?
guess my question to the board would be, are you satisfied with the language that trustee Kreuzer pointed out, that this is eligible on an as-needed or infrequent basis? Is that language strong enough for you, or would you like a more specific limitation on when this is allowed and when it's not?
I think what it also comes down to is it's a reflection on Matt. And if we start hearing that people came here and there was too long of a line, no service, no nothing, that's a reflection on Matt. And is Matt going to want to answer to us come review time that his staff was not living up to the standards that the village requires? So,
Yeah, I want to avoid having Matt being the bad guy for saying no, okay? So
True.
if that means we need to make the language a little bit stronger and give examples of when this is allowed, I think we should do that. I don't want him to be the person that's creating problems in the office.
it's a good point.
I totally agree with the not having you be the bad guy and having reasonable scenarios. I think it's hard to identify all of them, though.
Just examples, and I think it's again, we've already pointed out, in the case of doctor's appointments, in the case of bad weather, there might be one or two others. I just don't want this to turn into a situation where, first of all, Matt's got to say no to somebody just because they don't really want to come in on Tuesday, or situations like that, and creating problems.
Can everyone be granted like a certain amount? Like you get 10 for the year?
Well, what if we get 15 snowstorms?
I mean, it's been a really long time.
Yeah, but I'm just
but-
saying, like, it's a tough one.
I trust Matt in his discretion.
I feel like if you give them a minimum of 10, they're gonna use 10.
Right, yeah.
I mean,
They're gonna find every way possible. And I don't mean that to you guys, sorry, I don't mean to talk negative. I'm talking generally speaking.
Actually, I want to leave that out because then that way it's,
Human nature, yes.
we're not, yeah.
Employees as a general.
Then we don't,
term.
right, then we don't run into that, just so if we just leave that out, then we don't,
I don't particularly feel like we need specific examples. I think if you want to change the language a little bit, but I fear that if you get too specific in the examples, something could come up that's a very valid reason, and then if it's not in here, could actually cause more strife between the conversation. So
What are we talking money-wise to do this?
What do you mean?
As you said, VPN for secure remote.
Oh,
access.
it's already everything that we have. So we don't have actual computers anymore. All of us have laptops,
Right.
and it's already in the
So
budget.
laptops are fine, but
Yep.
the secure VPN?
Yep, that's already
software,
part of our IT
that's
with
in
Will.
there?
They have all the capabilities. to
Yeah, we
do
have
it
all the
now.
capabilities. Yes, we're all set up.
The employees' village desktop and files would be fine.
Yep, that's the laptop, yeah.
I guess my thing is that right now, with Matt's discretion, if somebody says, hey, like you, I have a doctor's appointment, I'm gonna work from home from here to here, go to the doctor, and then I'll probably come in afterwards, or I'll work from home. I think that's no problem. I don't understand why we've got 10 paragraphs here. when
That's
we
from
could
the
just
labor
say,
attorney.
Matt's
Yeah.
discretion, Matt has discretion as to when and if an employee can use it. And I would say it should never be used on Friday and Mondays.
Matt,
That, to
do you
me,
feel
right there
comfortable?
sums
Do you feel comfortable telling your team if they can or cannot work from home based on, your own discretion?
I do. My team and I work very well together. I think the effort here was, we have a practice. Is it appropriate to have a matching policy that reflects that practice? Or are we comfortable having a silence in the handbook?
I'm comfortable with you just doing what you're doing now. We don't need all of this.
But see, I
was worried.
Would I
I
put
was
this? Well,
We
now
gotta have something.
We're doing it, it's been working out.
yeah, but unfortunately, Jenna, now it's the Streisand.
Dang it.
It's the Streisand effect. You called attention to it, so now everyone's
Man.
looking at it. I
that's
put
what
this
I
in the
get.
I put this in the same category as, let's say, the cruising ordinance. Were there already ordinances on the books for nuisances, reckless driving, noise, all that stuff? Yes, but us implementing that was just another tool in the police's toolbox for enforcement and guidelines and actually stated. Now, did it 100% change how the police patrol downtown? I don't think so. I think it's basically just putting something in writing that if they need to call back on it, you know, where if somebody comes forward and goes, hey, well, I didn't get to work from home that day, what the heck gives, and tries to file a grievance against Matt, and it's like, well, it's right here written, it's at my discretion. So all it's basically doing is calling out in black and white what has already been occurring, but now it puts it as an actual tool to be used opposed to just a nudge, nudge, wink, wink. So I mean, I trust Matt to still use it as necessary as he's run his team. I see our employees, unless there's this massive turnover, God forbid, you know, where everyone comes in new, but we have an established team that has already been operating this way, that can apparently respect boundaries and respect their boss. I just see it being just a clarification of what it was already potential. Now, yes, it's long-winded, but you could thank lawyers for that.
Right, I did not write this. I want to take credit for it, but I'm not that good.
No offense, Matt.
No, I mean, I didn't write this, but I know Brian.
No, I just meant the long-winded comment.
Yeah.
A long-winded comment. I defer to Attorney Waterman. Obviously, labor law, employment law is not my practice area. If he says that this is the best policy that codifies the practice that's already occurring, I would go along with that recommendation.
See, to me, again, I'm not a lawyer, but in the eligibility right here, the second one, employees whose ability to work from home would not interfere with in-person operations of the village or the individual employee's job responsibilities. That's like saying, to me, that's saying, hey, I'm an employee, it's not gonna interfere with my work, so I want a day and I wanna just say I wanna go home and work from home today. I don't have any doctor's appointment, I don't have a mother that's dying, I don't have anything like that, but it says right here that I can take off because it's not gonna interfere.
Well, I
Right,
think
that's staffing.
the intent of that is
Yeah.
that's a standard that the supervisor, department head is utilizing to determine if an employee is eligible for this program. So that's a criteria that they use.
I think we're just opening up a can of worms. I think this whole thing has been working just fine without this being on the books. There's been never an issue that I can remember with Matt or Scott doing the same thing. I just think this is opening up more of an issue with the possibility down the line of people saying, I need the day off and I'm gonna work from home. And I can work from home. And without having to justify why they have to be working at home.
Well, you said day off. They're not taking.
Well,
a
it's
day
not
off.
a day off, but it's
Yeah.
working from home.
Yeah.
And
That bothers me. And saying that we're taxpayers and that we demand that somebody be here. Look, I'm a taxpayer, I work from home. Work from home. You need to work from home, great. Policy's working. Keep it.
As long as the office is staffed, and that
Right.
falls on Matt to make sure
Yeah.
that the office is staffed, and, I mean, that's one of his job
And we do that with
responsibilities.
elections too. We make sure nobody takes off during the week of the election.
I'm not comfortable with having something like this on the books at this time because it's gonna open up other issues down the line. I can just see it, and I thought the way things have been working with Matt or whoever, you know, you have your people that if they need to take off, you talk to Matt and Matt makes the final decision. I think that's just fine. But putting it into, an ordinance, I think that's just, in my books, that's something that we really don't need to do. If there was an issue with people constantly taking off because of whatever reason they feel they need to, then maybe something like this would be working, but I don't think even then, it's probably not gonna stop that person. So, I'm sorry, I just can't, I'm not comfortable with this. You know, it's not, in my opinion, it's not to a point. It's kind of there, but it's not right to the point saying, this is what you can do and you can't do, and why you can do it and why you can't. Kind of giving him the break saying, no, I can't let you do that. You know, it's just, I've talked, I know you and I and Cassie have talked about this years ago, and at the time I thought it was a good idea, but the more I thought about it, and I don't think anybody in our village hall at this time would abuse it, but it's just giving you that little edge there. That, you know, if somebody leaves, maybe the next person comes in. And, so I'm just, I've said my mouthful. Go ahead, Jim.
Actually, I don't have any, I just, we've talked to and about Matt and his team this whole time. I would be interested to hear Matt's perspective on this, knowing that these are the guardrails that he would have to operate within, so. I'm kind of curious your feedback on this, of if you feel this would impact your team either negatively or positively, and how you feel in being able to effectively still govern and control your office with this in place.
So the team has worked on it for a while, and one of the reasons it's before you tonight is Jenna wanted to get this is a task that kind of fell to her when Cassie left, and she wanted to get it off her plate before she departed.
And gave it
So
to
that
Mackenzie.
it didn't fall on Mackenzie's shoulders. Yeah, this has been a talking point for a while. In all honesty, I think both versions could work with our office. For me, the danger would be for the board to prohibit any kind of work from home, because there are issues that Jenna hasn't mentioned yet, where we have staff on their days off responding to questions and expenditure approvals that are set up with the bank, and staff are willing to do that on their days off, and that's a great thing to have. And I'd be concerned if the board were to prohibit work from home, that they wouldn't be allowed to do that kind of thing. I know that Nan's got concerns about how it affects the library. As Nan came and talked to me this morning, and it's an interesting situation with the library. They do have their own handbook and policies. So there can be a difference between what happens in the library and here, but at the same time, library employees are considered village employees and receive the same benefits we do. So it's an interesting, and again, from my perspective, a little unclear as to how that would play off of each other. We have not talked about this at the department head level. So people like Dave haven't, or Chief haven't weighed in on this issue yet.
Only my people have seen this. We work from home now.
Just out of curiosity.
We get uniforms too, all that stuff. Whatever one person has, somebody else wants. So it's, when you open it up, everybody sees these board meetings and sees what somebody else has.
If I may, you know, the library employees are village employees for benefit. So whatever you offer, the library employees is no offer. And on this subject, the village has always been down. When COVID occurred and we all went home and we did work from home, and the staff was all back up and we were tested. And we now work from home, we've proven that we can do it. So I think they're really deep consideration. I have to say, it would be nice to work from home. And I'm probably but there were two considerations. The first was, there are definitely jobs at the library that, so I saw it as kind of an accident. Did I have that benefit? Yeah. So for me, for morale, for equity, I thought it was really secondly, thinking of how rotations happens, desk schedules. One of my biggest concerns was, let's just say I work from home, and I can't move. So that was one of the biggest. How can I manage that? And the other thing is, for a manager, which is in a position, you have to make decisions, you have to sometimes accept requests and sometimes not. And I just didn't want that animosity towards me. So that's why the library currently does have that, not a lot of work from home. Now, I am an exempt employee, so if something comes up at home, I do work from home because I have to. We always have that scenario, so, but I do not take designated days. But with that, I just, obviously, it's a benefit that's popular and it can work for people, so that is something obviously that the board wants to provide to your staff. All of that I would like to ask is that maybe the department has talk about that in the how can we make sure that it's equitable. There are some other ways, because I will have to change all four libraries. Thank you.
So your recommendation is to put this on Mackenzie then, because Jenna will be gone. No, I'm just joking. I just mean it stays on your to-do list.
If the board want to provide that as a benefit, then
But you as a department head don't have to, it's still at your discretion. And whatever works best for you. And I agree, I understand what you're saying. I mean, in my office too, I have certain staff that cannot work from home. She runs my front desk. She has to be there to greet clients when the office is open. She cannot work from home. The rest of my staff can. Unfortunately for her, she doesn't get that same benefit, but that's the position she was hired to do. And so in every organization, you have those types of positions that just can't. I mean, you can see it as an equitable thing or not equitable thing, but bottom line, that's the job that they're there to do, and there's different flexibilities and different things available for different types of job. So I don't think us putting this into the handbook makes this blanketed thing that everybody can work from home. It's still dependent on the type of job, coverage, and manager discretion.
I would like to say, I think we need to caution using the word benefit. It's not a benefit to work from home. It's still work. You're still getting your stuff done. You're just getting it done in your home office versus an office here. And there's billions of studies out there that's saying working in a physical office is way more distracting, pulls you away from other things. You actually waste way more time inside the office. So it's not a benefit. It's just an option to get your work done elsewhere.
As
I think, I would say I think a lot of people do see it as a benefit, like see it as a positive. But I also think we're not even, originally we weren't even talking about true work from home. It was work from home in situations where you need to work from home. So now it sounds like we are talking more about it being like a benefit and an option, like more of like a hybrid, which I don't think was originally the conversation. But I do think it's great for you, the department heads, to all talk. If you want to discuss language that might be more universal for everyone to feel comfortable with before we move on this, I think that's a really fair call out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in agreement with that. I know when work from home, I'm logged in many more hours than when I'm in the office, you know, and technically I'm on call 24/7, so I'm never really out of the office. You know, but I agree with Trustee Kreiser too, that like we've kind of morphed this into a hybrid discussion right now, and that's never what it was intended to be. And I don't know if that's what the sticking point is, that, you know, there has to be clearly defined that it's not to design hybrid positions, it's not to allow or approve hybrid positions. But I also agree that if the department heads want to put their heads together for language, great. But I also agree with Trustee Belt that there are positions that don't have that opportunity. I mean, there's in every aspect, this is one element of it. There's positions that don't have the opportunity for many things. So, you know, if you want to get into a position that allows you to maybe have an hour or two before, you know, a doctor's appointment, then apply for one of those when that becomes available. That's up to the department heads for the staffing.
And if there are
But-
positions that are eligible for work from home, you know, and it does really make sense, you know, I don't think there's any reason not to consider that as well. It is definitely opens up your candidate pool in the future for ones that truly could be a work from home role. Not necessarily saying like anything we've talked about specifically, but, you know, I don't think it has to be like an absolutely not if the position does lend itself to that.
I don't think this is a throw the baby out with the bathwater type situation. It's maybe just needs some fine tuning and agreement on all the points.
I would like to end the conversation, and not to cut you off, Jim, but
No, it's okay. I need
would
that.
someone like to just, I think it sounds like we're on board, but we're not there yet. Can we
I'd like to.
possibly table this?
Yeah.
Yeah, do I have to make a
Is it a
motion to do
table
that?
or defer?
Defer.
Do I have to
Defer.
make a motion for that, or?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to defer this conversation to allow more discussion between department heads.
Do we have to set a meeting to defer it to, or just leave it open-ended?
You can leave it, you can either set a date certain or conditions for it to come back, and I think Trustee Kreiser just set appropriate conditions.
Second, Grabowski.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Okay, we're gonna go to review, discussion, possible action on mobile trailer park license renewal for Pewaukee Lake Estates at 630 West Wisconsin Avenue. Again, I hope everybody's had a chance to read those over. Are there any questions, comments, or corrections?
One question, before we approve this.
Yep.
Was it ever cleared up in the fire and EMS database charging system that each mobile home is considered a separate unit? Because when it was first approved, it was seeing the whole park as one.
It was.
It was cleared
It
up?
was.
Okay.
Yep, it was corrected.
Question and asked.
How many are back there?
What's that?
How many are there?
28.
Yeah.
Do they like,
Pass this on.
I guess I don't know much about this process. Do they pay anything above and beyond to rent those spaces back to the village?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Don't they pay like a monthly fee, like a HOA almost, but it's not an HOA? Right. Right. Okay, yeah, because they don't own the land, they just basically use the space and they monthly pay for it.
And rent? Or just
No,
that?
so it's almost like a pretend HOA, it's like not an HOA, but it's just like, hey, I'm utilizing this space.
It's a lease for
Yeah, and
the
they only
location.
own the trailer.
Yeah, okay. I was just curious.
I'll make a motion to approve the mobile home and trailer park license application.
Second, Peter?
Further discussion? Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion hereby carried. Review, discussion, possible action on 2026 checks and invoices for April. I'll look for a motion to approve all checks and invoices for April 2026 except for the library.
So moved. Brody.
Second, Kreiser.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Checks are hereby adopted. I'll look for a motion to acknowledge April 2026 checks and invoices for the library.
Motion to acknowledge checks and invoices 2026 for the library. Is that right?
Second, Kreiser.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is hereby carried. Review, discussion, and possible action on consent orders with the DNR for well 2, 4, and 6, and possible connection to Lake Michigan water supply. We have this also into the closed session. Who wants to start this? Matt, did you just want to?
I would, if you wouldn't mind, sorry. It's President Knudsen.
Wow, what time is it?
Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there.
Sign of respect. So just as a reminder to the board, staff have been concurrently pursuing two paths regarding a water utility. We have two consent orders issued by the DNR for wells, for PFAS in well 2, and Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, and radium in wells 4 and 6, is that correct? PFAS is well 6 as well, okay. Okay. All right, so radium at well 2 and well 4, and PFAS in well 6. Okay, thank you. So those consent orders have milestones and deadlines that the village has to meet, and the village board did formally review and approve them, agree to them. Staff have also been exploring alternative options to provide solutions to these consent orders via connection to Lake Michigan. The board approved an NR 854 study, an alternate water supply study that Strand Engineering performed for us and reported out to you in January, and directed staff to continue exploring that. As we approach these deadlines and the consent orders, staff have asked for extensions from the DNR and to meet to discuss an extension proposal, and we have not received a response yet. So at this point in time, staff would request to go into closed session and get the advice of the village attorney on a potential path forward.
Okay.
So that's the open session kind of introduction to the item.
Okay, item N, review, discussion, and possible action regarding restoration of village retaining wall at 510 East Wisconsin Avenue. Again, Matt.
Thank you, President Knudsen. As Dave so well summarized in his memo, a tree on private property was blown over at 510 East Wisconsin, and it destroyed a retaining wall that belonged to the village. Director Beekle did a great job at establishing a dialogue with the homeowner about clearing the sidewalk and restoring the retaining wall. Dave also sent a letter formally notifying the owner of their responsibility, which is part of your packet tonight. And the owner has made an offer, which is kind of akin to negotiation. The village may be able to reconstruct the wall and assess the property owner. Attorney Grolinsky may have some input on that. This may be an option to consider, although something we have to factor in is some of the work may need to impact private property. I guess it's proximity is very close of the wall and the property line. Otherwise, the village may have to pursue legal action against the property, and staff would request a closed session discussion for advice from the attorney on that.
Okay, review, discussion, and possible action regarding Washington County case number 2026 CV 000324, Lamdang et al. Versus Village of Pewaukee.
So this was one of the notices of claim that came forth last summer, I believe, perhaps in May or June. It's a slip and fall case that allegedly occurred within the village. The board disallowed the claim. The claimant filed a first lawsuit, which was dismissed as untimely. The claimant then filed a second lawsuit. The village is represented by counsel through your insurance company on the current lawsuit. They've received some communication from the claimant in this matter. regarding resolution of the case, and we'd like to go into closed session to discuss that communication and the strategy to respond to that.
Okay. Item P. The Village Board of the Village of Pewaukee entered a closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute Section 1985 1G for the purpose of conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved, specifically regarding consent orders with DNR for wells 2, 4, and 6, a claim for restoration of a village retaining wall at 510 East Wisconsin Avenue, and Waukesha County Case 2026 CV 000324, Landang et al. Versus Village of Pewaukee. After conclusion of any closed session, the Village Board will convene open session pursuant to Section 1985-2 for the possible additional review, discussion, and action concerning these agenda items, and to address the remaining meeting agenda. I look for a motion to go into closed session.
Motion to go in closed session.
Second, Peter.
Roll call.
Trustee South,
Yes.
Trustee Rhodey. Yes. Trustee Belt.
Yes.
Trustee Pater.
Yes.
Trustee Kreiser.
Yep.
Trustee Grabowski.
Yes.
And President Knudsen.
Yes, we are now in closed session.
No, it's warm.
No, it's freezing. I have a draft right here, and I am
We were 2.5.
Ready to go? Okay, we're ready. Review, discussion, and possible action regarding Washoe County case 2026 CV 000324 Landing et al. Versus Village of Pewaukee. Do I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to, you say accept the recommendation
In closed session.
in closed session.
Second, Grabowski.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion is hereby carried. Citizen comments, nobody here. Citizen wives, and adjournment number 10.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are hereby adjourned. Thank you, everybody.